My dad passed away several years ago, but I think if he were alive today to see the whole AI situation and what I was doing in this space, he would look at me and he would say, "You're doing what now?" And so I think that a lot of people might be asking the same question. So when I say I run an AI operating system, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to break it down like I would break it down if I were telling my dad. So I've taken a look at the things I do in my life and I've broken it down into three main categories where AI helps me. And the first is I'm a freelance science writer. So biotech and pharmaceutical companies pay me to write things for them, scientific articles and web pages or marketing material, technical documentation, things like that. I also make content of my own in two areas. So first of all this AI stuff that I started making recently. And secondly, I have a hobby blog about home canning and gardening. And finally, I'm an American living in Germany, operating a household in a language that is not the one I grew up with. And that's not an easy thing. Category one, the client stuff. And let me just say upfront, I don't put all of my client work through AI tools. Not everything is appropriate to go through there. So one example is a client comes to me and says, "Hey, Julie, can you write an article about this topic?" Well, if I don't know anything about that topic, my system can help me get oriented really fast. It can pull together research, scientific literature. It can tell me about why their end user might be interested in this topic and kind of help me get a lay of the land in this area quickly. Next example is helping my clients show up in search engine results and in AI overviews. So in the industry, this is called SEO, search engine optimization, now AI optimization. And basically, it's finding out what are people searching for on a particular topic? What words do they type into their browser or AI tool? And who appears? Does my client appear? What do the pages that do appear and what do the answers that do show up in those AI overviews look like? And once we have that picture, I can help my client improve their pages so that they're the ones who show up. So let's suppose I know about the topic now, I know what people are searching for, and I know kind of what my article is going to be about. I can throw ideas back and forth to Claude and kind of brainstorm which angle I want my story to come from. From my experience, it's a whole lot easier to start with something, even if you don't like it, than to just sit there and stare at the blank page and wait for the right start to come to mind. And so I've actually developed a system where I form the story and then I dictate the story to Claude, and then the system can draft for me. It's a draft, it's a starting point. All right, what else? So finding gaps in existing content. Where are there opportunities to write new content that would be useful to clients? AI can do that really fast. Reworking a whole lot of web pages to follow a particular format. AI can help do that really fast. All right, category two is my own content creation. I have a million ideas. Without some sort of AI assistance, I would have never had the time or the courage to actually follow up and do anything with those. So for months, I've been just capturing ideas. So it goes into my system and everything's there. It's connected. And I finally have the workflows that will help me pull those out and put them together into something that other people can benefit from. Learning. When I started doing content creation, I had no idea how to make a TikTok video. I'm 51. A 10-year-old could make a better TikTok video than I could. But you can use a tool like mine and other AI platforms to take information that you find online from people who really know what they're doing and reverse engineer it, pull out the learnings, and build yourself a playbook or a set of rules that then you can use to do your own process and do it well. It's so much better than having no clue what you're doing and just trying to guess or try to remember it from your own brain. Same as with the client work. What are people searching for? What information do they need? And how can I make content that actually answers those questions so that they will find it? The production side of things. So now I have all this information in my system. I can now take it and say, okay, I want to write a blog post. I can dictate the story and my system will pull all of these pieces together, plus the musings that I told it when I was out for a walk 2 weeks ago, and pull it together into a pretty high quality draft that I can then use to refine and finalize. And eventually the analysis, because people like comments on your videos and they're like, I hate this. I love that. Tell me more about this. Why don't you do this instead? I can use my system to go in and pull that stuff out and learn from it and improve the content that's still to come. Okay, category three is the household stuff, the life stuff, I'm an American. I live in Germany. Everything comes in German to the household, and it's my job to be the one to deal with it. Pay the bills, file the insurance claims. And let me just say, I don't give everything to Claude just yet, but there are certain things where I'm able to give it this information and get back what I need to know to handle it. All right, the other stuff. How do I move my web domain to another company? How do I make sure that the legal disclaimers and all that stuff on my websites and web presences are compliant with German and EU law? Claude can help. And how do I troubleshoot my geothermal heat pump, all in German, in the middle of a heat wave when it just suddenly stops cooling? Claude can help. The organizing layer, building a calendar, looking at the existing calendar and saying, okay, Julie, these are the meetings you have. These are the projects you said you want to work on, putting together blocks of time on my calendar so that I can actually sit down and say, okay, no, I'm going to focus on this for the next 2 or 3 hours and then take a break and do something else. I don't do that very well on my own, but Claude does it for me. And now the fun part, party planning. So I have friends over once a year for a fajitas and margaritas party, and I always like overplan and want to do everything and wait until the last minute. So this year, Claude built me a party planning interface, maybe like a dashboard, with all of the recipes for everything I had to cook that day, everything I had to do, organized from my shopping, things I had to do around the house to get ready, things that my husband needed to do, things I needed to do in the garden. Basically, it was an execution list. Then by the time it was done, it was here's your recipes for your cocktails. Pretty cool. So how do I do all of this stuff with AI? Well, I built a system that has access to all of the information I wanted to have access to. I run it using Claude Code, and so it has the ability to act on those things with the context in that information. I need to be straightforward about how this happened because I didn't just set out to build this system. I did look at people who had systems like this, and I was like, that's not what I want mine to do. I want it to solve my problems. And my problem at the time was I need to have a way to have all this context in one place where an LLM could help me draft content based on that. So I built that. And then I realized it could do things. And so I kept having it do more things and more things. And then I decided, okay, it needs to learn when it's doing things right and it needs to learn when it's doing things wrong. So I built those things in too. And as I solved certain issues, other points of friction came up. And I'm like, well, let's just solve that one too. And then hundreds of hours later, I suddenly became this person who had built this thing. And I suddenly understood what everybody was talking about when they were talking about building and vibe coding. But I didn't get there because I set out to vibe code a thing. I got there because I set out to reduce a problem I was having in a particular part of my work. There's plenty of things I could have done differently up front that would have saved me time. I don't think that downloading somebody else's tool would have saved me time because that tool would be designed for their problems and their issues. And I think that starting small is really the right approach. If you're new to this stuff, start small. Pick one area where you think, I really want to automate that. That could save me some time. That could save me some headaches. Do that part. Learn that part. And then see where that gets you. And see if you start thinking about your work in a different way. Like, what could I automate? What should I automate? What should I not automate? How would I go about automating that? And then go from there. Because I think that although we don't know what the tools are going to look like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year from now, or even further into the future, I think the skill of being able to look at your work or look at your task and say, how would I break this down to do it better, faster, smarter? That's going to be a skill that's probably going to transfer to whatever systems we're working with then. So that's what I'm doing here. I write about it on my blog. I make videos about it now. And that's what I would tell my dad. He'd probably still look at me and say, you're doing what now? But I hope he would be proud.